Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Happy Hour. It's I, Tony Cooper. Tuesdays with Tony. All these other people are here. They were a little late. I don't understand why they take so long to get into the actual chat room. Who knows? Probably a technical error on my part. Yeah, what are you gonna do? So if you're out there in Facebook land, feel free to send us a chat, drop us a line, say, hey, oh, there's 4 of you out there I know right now. I have all
Are you one of them?
I am not one of them. I am not one of them.
Matt, I really like you a lot, even more than I did when we met.
Matt's in rare form. Matt's in rare form this morning. Is this are we hungover, Matt? What's going on?
Actually,
Oh, good story. Good story.
I had one of my venues, they renovated their room and it used to be the butt ugliest room in the whole town that I live in. It had this pinky purple carpet that was like in triangle kind of pattern and it was shit. And they've just they gutted it. It's got a really nice rose white bar. And they left that, and then they put parquetry floor or wood paneling. It's exposed concrete roof now, and so they had the launch of that for their brides and grooms, and also the industry. So whenever I go to their event, they always get me drunk.
They got you drunk.
Oh yeah. So this was a decision on their part to get of all the people that were coming to the event.
I may have drunk 2 bottles of champagne last night for free.
We're going to get Matt Russell drunk when he walks in the door.
Oh no, their functions manager makes sure that I don't leave sober.
Ah, it's a rule.
Yeah.
It's a rule. Cool.
But they didn't have a jar of Nutella for me to steal this time, which I was very disappointed with.
No Nutella stealing. But
last
you
time
had champagne.
Of Nutella.
Now, were you drinking champagne out of a glass, or were you just going bottle?
Out of a glass. I was classy.
All right. Well, hey, I wasn't trying to call anybody out, but just making sure. Sweet. Okay, kids. So here's the deal. All right, let's see what these people out there. Eileen Smith is watching on Facebook. Lisa McIntyre's hi, everyone. She's still nursing a sore throat. Maybe she'll pop on soon. Trying to keep what's left of my voice so she can probably yell at her children.
No, we're working wonders tomorrow.
Oh, for her show. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's good. Glad she cares about the network that much. That's awesome.
Wow. Can't win with you. Just can't win.
Christy's saying hello. Christy's probably in a lot of trouble right now because it is Fat Tuesday, guys. Mardi Gras. Yeah.
I don't think she's home. I thought they were in Florida.
They might be in Florida.
I thought I saw something on Facebook.
The last photos I saw, there were Mardi Gras floats in Florida. So somebody's celebrating Mardi Gras somewhere.
Well, I thought she was at Universal.
Oh, that would make sense why there's Mardi Gras floats there. So there you go. She's partying it up at Universal. See? So there she is. Anybody? So Matt's Mardi Gras was last night, so that's good. Anybody else have any Mardi Gras plans? You gonna get wasted later? I'm thinking probably not.
Well, see, Mardi Gras in Australia is actually on the 6th of March, but it's not for the Mardi Gras. It's the gay and lesbian Mardi Gras.
On the 6th of March.
Yeah, so
what Mardi Gras?
Our Pride Parade in Australia in Sydney is called the Mardi Gras.
Oh.
And when they had WBC, when they had the Mardi Gras there, one of the girls told Dave Taylor he could dress up as Kylie Minogue, and I'm like, what has that got to do with Mardi Gras? And she's like, well, gay and lesbian. I'm like, that's not what Mardi Gras means around the world. She's like, oh, that explains why all the Mardi Gras balloons are purple, green, and gold.
Yes.
And you've been in the industry for how long, love?
Yes.
You could not get a spring green balloon or a purple violet balloon for love or money last week.
Well, you can't get gold or silver in Australia for love or money here either. So
Crazy. We have a big supermarket we decorate this time of year. And we like went down to our last spring green 16-inch, like the last one in the shop.
And then Debbie broke her foot.
No, I broke my foot before that. I was a real trooper. I broke my foot last week. I worked Saturday night, all day Sunday, Monday, in my boot. Thank God it's my left foot so I can drive. I'm very lucky. I am a blessed woman because if it was my right foot again, I think I'd be dead.
Well,
Not by my own hand.
I think someone would have killed you at that point.
Somebody, yeah.
Shot you like a horse. Like, well, leg's broken. It's over.
Are you calling me a horse?
No, I'm just saying.
Just checking.
I'm just saying your business partner would have shot you like a horse if your left leg, if your other leg was broken. Come on.
Well, you know, when you walk into the orthopedist and they say, weren't you like just here?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
Yes, I was just here.
But it's better. It's still not straight, but we can make a fist.
So what you're telling me now is you can make a fist now so you can punch someone, but you just can't kick them.
Right. I didn't say I could punch somebody. I'm just able to grab balloons.
You can grab a balloon.
You would try and grab stuff like off a table without your pinky. Not easy.
No, that's the thing is like, I guess over the time, you never notice how much you rely on something until you like don't have it.
Yeah, I couldn't drink the English tea, right?
Well,
Dory's making fun of me over there.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. I had no pinky to use.
There you go. You can't shaka anybody from Hawaii.
No, but now
because the pinky's all funny now. And it looks crooked.
It doesn't it hurts when I do this, but it at least it's working.
Wow.
And hopefully I'll be able to curl my toes.
Well, I'm just glad that your business partner didn't shoot you like a dead horse. That's good because
Well, because it was my left foot. If it was my right one, I would be in trouble, and I could drive.
There you go. So,
we had like one of our busiest weekends of the year.
Yeah, my weekend last weekend was pretty. This last weekend was pretty busy. I was really happy with that. We had Night to Shine, a bunch of deliveries at a couple villas at Caesars. So it was nice. It was very nice. Nice week. Night to Shine was cool. Got to see Tim Tebow in person. So that was kind of fun.
He was actually there.
Yeah, he actually showed up to this one. So I assume that's probably why they went the extra added expenses of different things that they were doing. But yeah, he was here in Vegas at the event here, and it was really cool. Nice guy. Didn't talk to him too long, just kind of shook his hand, said what's up, and he was very cool. But yeah, so that was good. I'm a little bummed out with this ice storm in Texas. It is affecting me personally because I ordered a rebuild kit for the Jeep engine, and I ordered the rebuild kit from Oregon, but for some reason Oregon had to go through Dallas.
Oh, because Oregon's had the same problems.
Yeah, so they got it out of Oregon, got it to Texas, and then I was supposed to have it today, and I don't know when I'm going to have it. So,
I think Marissa Matthews hasn't had power for like 4 days.
4 days, no power?
Who?
Wow.
Marissa Matthews.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, they could just be hippies and like turn on a gasifier or something. I'm sure that they could do that.
Do you have cold weather in Las Vegas?
It hasn't been bad. It's been pretty nice actually. It was a little windy. Valentine's Day, it was pretty windy. So I was kind of glad that we had gotten all the balloons in the vans before the wind kind of picked up. But no, it hasn't been too bad.
We're getting snow again on Thursday.
Yeah, we it's been pretty clear skies right now so far. So, I mean, it was what was it this afternoon? It was I think at like 2 or 3, it was like 66. So that was nice. So
it was strangely warm here today. It was like freezing. Today was like 45, and tomorrow I'll be back to freezing and then snow. Like,
yeah, see, that's where it gets dangerous because everything everything will start to melt, and then it'll freeze
melts, and then you get black ice.
Black ice, and that stuff will kill you.
Especially in a boot.
Yeah.
My
Yep.
God.
No, yeah, well, that's why I don't think we'll see Crystal tonight, because I think she's kind of in no man's land. I don't
Do
think
they have no electricity there either?
Yeah, I don't think so. I today I saw one of her posts was, what am I gonna run out of first? Beer, food, dish. So I think she decided that she was gonna run out of dish soap first.
Yeah.
And I said she's going to run out of patience before that.
And then she was gonna run out of
That's a
patience.
good answer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I guess I talked to David and Angela in Colorado. My daughter was in Colorado this last weekend, and it was pretty chilly there too. So, that was interesting. So, yeah, the global warming is messing up everything right now.
Right, warming. Teresa, I listened to your show because I couldn't make it yesterday. I love Greg and Kat. They're so funny. He is a
They're
riot.
hilarious.
He is the funniest guy.
They are great.
I ran into them one time at the airport in LA. Like I can't remember if we were heading to WBC. I think it was heading to Float one year. We ran into them.
That's so
At
funny.
the airport, and then that's how I got to know them.
They're great.
They said that if they needed help for their son's wedding in May, that I was welcome to go up there. And I was like, and they're like, it's out in wine country. I'm like, oh, let me figure that out.
Don't know if I can do that.
Well, I believe one of the questions yesterday to Stuart and Matt was, are they planning on doing a big balloon build for a wedding? if I'm not mistaken. By the way, just so you guys know, very first episode of 2020, the 2022 flotation device presented by TNT will be available starting tomorrow. Pretty exciting.
What time?
You mean Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah. Does the producer get to hear it first?
No. Yeah, you can. I can send you the link.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, we already said it. We already said in the description for mature audiences. So, they dropped an F-bomb or something. We did say that. So,
Guys, yeah, we're going to have a talk.
I expected that. So anyways, that will be out hopefully, pending
If you need a new host,
Steve
Steve,
Jones
I'm
and the
willing.
crystal approval from the Seattle Space Needle, Thursday. If not, then it'll be out when we get it edited, because Steve may not like something. So,
We could always send it to Roscoe, right?
well, I already
and
sent it to
Roscoe will be
Roscoe.
working
Roscoe gave us a thumbs up and was like, "That was the best episode I've ever heard in my entire life, guys."
I believe that. Roscoe also pays 0 bills around here. So yeah.
Okay. Well, then if that's the case, I like Roscoe's approval. So I think what I will do then is I will pay to have Roscoe shipped to Las Vegas, Nevada, and I will become a cat man, where Roscoe can live out his chubby cat life. Nah.
Yeah, because Lord knows that's going to score points.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, whatever. I mean, I'm sure Alexa would probably want him, at least hanging out with someone who would let him sit on the steps, not like actually.
That's just it. There is no steps anymore.
That's what I'm saying. At least at my house, there's steps. So, I'm sure Alexa would allow, that type of a movement for steps. So, but anyways, back to what I was saying. Yes, Steve.
Tony, I would start small. I would ask for Philomena first.
No.
And if that worked out and you turn her undamaged,
I'm going to tell you guys.
they would let Roscoe visit. But
I have already hung out with
you got to
Philomena.
start small.
I have already hung out with Philomena. That chick is a diva. She is a diva. All right. We had to
She
get
was very well behaved here. She helped me cook.
Every time I talk to her, she's like, "Do I have a bottled water in my hand, Tony? Do I have a bottled water in my hand?" And I'm like, "No, Philomena, you don't have a bottled water in your hand. I just got done shooting off rounds at the range with Steven. I deserve a bottle of water." I'm like, "I will get that for you right now, Miss Philomena."
Did you have a bowl of orange M&Ms in her room at all times?
Oh, no, don't even get me started on her rider. Her rider is outrageous. Okay. At least the one I got. Maybe Steve has kind of calmed her down over the years, But
well, she gets enough outfit changes here to justify.
yeah. The outfits are crazy. So yeah.
She's
I want to be like Philomena. I
COVID.
want to have a whole bunch of outfits too.
Well, yeah, see, so there you go. Hold on. Let me do this. So he has it.
Who's coming in?
Oh no, I am doing my civic duty and sending the link. It is not posted, it is private, Steve, so nobody can see it except the people who are sent to. So
So I have a question.
yes.
My hubby turns 50 on Saturday.
We can get him balloons.
Besides balloons and maybe a Zoom, like what can we do to mark the occasion?
Virtual stripper.
I hadn't thought of that. Okay. Other ideas?
Think about think about the fact that you are supporting a starving artist.
That has to be stripping?
Maybe a juggler would be better.
I'm at a loss for ideas. I threw
Yeah.
him a surprise party. and
Here's
now-
what I've learned, Dory. Whatever Steve suggests, don't do. Just don't do that. Like it may sound, meek and mild, but somehow it will expand and blow up into something that not even Steve can control at that point. So
What would you do if it wasn't COVID?
Well, I invited a whole bunch of people to a restaurant when he turned 40 and surprised him. Like,
So
No, I-
why don't you maybe get like his favorite meal delivered and have like a surprise Zoom party? Like people keep popping in at intervals
Yeah,
that he doesn't know are coming.
Right.
My kids did that for my 60th birthday. I had them all for dinner here in the house. And then at dessert time, like the doorbell kept ringing. Yeah, every 5 minutes somebody else came.
yeah,
So like you go to a Zoom and then people pop in that especially like people from far away that he wouldn't expect.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I made him set up a Zoom link, but I didn't tell him how many people I'm going to share it with.
Uh,
I don't know. I don't like Steve's idea of a virtual stripper. Seems like you could get
All right, might
virtual,
nix that idea.
virtual
I was
chlamydia
kind of kidding on that.
or virtual chlamydia or something.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Wow, that implies the
A
stripper is actually a
virus.
virtual prostitute.
Oh my God.
Well, I haven't met one. So I don't know. I don't know what they do.
I have so many comments and I'm going to behave. and not
Lisa
say one.
McIntyre says, get him Legos, Dory.
Legos.
Yeah.
Oh, for my son's 40th birthday, his friends bought him a Friends Lego set. So like he built Lego that looks like looks like Central Perk.
Right.
So if he has something like that, there's probably a Lego set that looks like that.
Yeah, you could probably get him the entire Diagon Alley from Harry Potter Lego set. I'm sure that he's really probably into that. I mean, it's only 20 years old.
He likes
So.
Star Wars. Like,
Okay, then just hey,
That's a good
Christopher
man right there.
Lyle. Christopher Lyle had some really cool Star Wars Legos. So
where the Legos come, like where do the Legos come in?
no, they
We
were
should
they're
have a
like,
Star Wars marathon all
yeah,
day.
yeah. And then like you could do like like Boba Fett's ship, the Millennium
And
Falcon.
you could dress up like Princess Leia.
Okay, now we're back to Steve's comment of the virtual dancing.
the
thing.
only
I don't
reason
know
I
if we're
said
going
it.
that way. Debbie,
have-
sometimes we gotta reel you in. Sometimes, Debbie.
I kept all my comments to
Is the
myself.
are the painkillers making you loopy, Debbie?
No.
I never-
Natasha wants us to know that speaking of strippers, there are a few strip clubs where she lives, and they have like white party tents outside and poles set up. She about died when she drove by seeing them. So everybody's trying to do that.
That's
I think
cold.
only here in Vegas.
Outside in a tent is cold.
I know. I think in Vegas, we just have the Hustler Club here in Vegas. I think is the only club that's open. And the only reason I know that is because they called us to do balloons.
Sure.
So yeah, I was like, okay. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, from across the pond. Let's see if he can technologically figure out how to get into the gang. Mr. Matthew Lewis is with us, but it's joining. There he is. Wait, there he is. Look at that guy.
Hi, Matt.
Look at Matt.
Hi, Matt.
He's connecting to audio, so give him a second. Mr. Lewis, hello, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
That's real dedication. It's the middle of the night for him.
It's not. It's,
So-
it's only what? It's 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
Okay,
So
that's
just
the
so
middle
you
of the
know,
night.
Matt, I also sent the link to Stuart. So if he wakes up, he might join us. So maybe.
I just hope he doesn't wake up after the abuse I got last night.
Oh yeah, sure, totally. Just so you know, I've actually we just had a discussion about that. We've had to submit the podcast to Steve Jones for approval. So we'll all be waiting on bated breath to see if we're allowed to move forward.
God, oh God.
Yeah, you guys need to understand. You guys need to understand something. Podcasts reach a different group of people.
We realize that.
As such, everybody on this call knows there's a level of irreverence and everything else that goes on.
We know
But
that.
Total strangers don't watch this. Total strangers might be listening to those interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we need to wrangle
And that's
that in.
totally fine. And that's why you have the link to see if it is acceptable. And if it is not,
How
will be
long?
more
How
than
long
happy
was
to
the
edit it for you.
interview? How long is the podcast?
I think that one was about 33 minutes.
So Steve will probably cut it down to about 10.
10. Yeah, 10.
Depending
No, I'm
on what
sure
they say, yeah, maybe.
That's what
No,
I'm
no.
saying.
honestly, there's one story in there that I don't think was bad, but it was funny. And so we left it on the podcast. So Steve can give us his approval if he likes it or not. The ending was brilliant. A matter of fact, Matt just showed us his shirt. For those of you who actually know how to spell, will understand what's wrong with it. Matt was very excited.
He got his name right on the Zoom. Look at that.
Yeah, he did get his name right, but Matt was very excited about a shirt that he was going to wear until it was brought to his attention by Stuart that it was spelled wrong on the shirt. It's actually missing the letter E in unsupervised. So that is why the titling is unsupervised, brought to you by the letter E, because we were missing a lot of E's yesterday. So yeah. But no, all in good fun. Steve will have his choice and we'll go from there. So that's how we do things at the Float Network. So there it is.
Well, thank you, Matt, for teaching that class on photo frames because I got to make one.
Oh, who's that? Hang on, you have to excuse me. I'm an old person on this. Where's that person who did the photo frames?
That was me.
Oh, Dory. Yes, that's good. Good. Well done, girl. You did an absolutely fantastic job. And by the way, the person you've got a credit for that is Debbie on here because that was her design for the photo frame.
Oh, thank you so much. I made one of those too. I made two of them actually.
Good.
You
Good.
like took the fear of that away from me. Like it made it so easy to do.
It is.
So, thank you, but thank you.
The trouble is people try and do rocket science. You don't need to. Just think of what you're doing and just adapt it to whatever you do.
What works? The
Yeah,
same
that's
thing with the 35-foot arch. Like Steve didn't tell me anything I didn't know,
Yeah.
but I wasn't afraid to do it anymore.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't be afraid to do it. Sometimes you've got to move outside your comfort zone. But you'll never progress if you don't move outside your comfort zone. It's like with blueprinting. I had to move totally outside my comfort zone and invest in machinery. But once I've got it there and got it done, and the more I do, the more I learn. And I'm still learning. I mean, I've just finished work now. I've just done a 12-hour shift on getting stuff done because no staff in because we're doing social distancing. But there's lots of things I learn. I mean, I've got to operate multiple machines, and that's how you do it. You just learn and adapt.
It's true. But I'm always the one who says, no, we don't know how to do that. We can't. How can we ever do that? We don't know how to do that. And then when it's done, I say, look what we did.
Remember what I said last night, Steve, on the chat? Sometimes you have to, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but Richard Branson came up with a great quote. If you don't know how to do it, say yes, then learn how to do it.
Right. Well, we never say no. I'm just the one who always panics.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be
Yeah,
able
but
to
there's
do it.
times when you have to say no. I'm totally in agreement. When you're up to your eyeballs in it and you've got no chance of actually, doing another project. Like, let's say you're solidly booked with Bloom Decker and someone comes in and wants something else, then you've got to learn, you've got to know when to say no. And I tell people in this industry that any industry, the most powerful word in this industry is no. If you can't do it, don't do it, because that will give you more credibility than saying yes, you can do it, and then letting the person down at the end.
And there you go.
Did you
Okay.
guys see my maroon garland?
Yes. It was
Sorry.
very cool.
No, absolutely. I listened to you till the end, then my phone rang.
Is that the last of the maroon garlands in the wild of Australia forever?
I managed to get another 3 bags of 11-inch and some 5-inch.
Well, there you go. So it's not the last balloon
It
garland.
was one of the last. I didn't say it was the last.
It's on the verge of extinction.
Yeah.
Did anyone get Tough Tech samples in the mail?
Yes, I did. Did you?
Yeah, I got 4.
Really beautiful balloons.
Of the vintage line?
Yeah. And they sent 16-inch, which is really nice.
That's why I thought of you guys when we were having that conversation about what do you do with 4 balloons.
Yeah, but these are at least,
they're pretty.
they're
large.
gorgeous.
So what do I make with 4 balloons? A quad.
No, you should
Well-
make a TikTok. Who made a TikTok with it? I forget.
Well, you make a quad and then you take a photo. That way you know what it looks like when they're blown up.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Or we could put our quads together
Then,
and have the very beginning of a column.
then we would just need a few more people.
If everybody sent us their sample bag, we could
But then you would have all the quads and nobody else would.
but they'd
Just
have a
be
pretty
thankful you
picture.
got samples.
But I'd make a pretty picture and then they could sell it, even though they don't have the balloons.
The
They
funny-
don't send them to us in Australia here.
I don't know. I know there was some thought. I know last time, again, I haven't talked to them for a while. So I know the last time I talked to them, there was concern with COVID and stuff of shipping stuff, that they were having stuff coming back, like stuff wasn't getting shipped overseas. So I don't know. Because they were talking, because
Matt, are you still having problems with stocking?
There's no gold, there's no silver, there's no peak,
I'm
no.
struggling to get, anything heart. Now we've got Mother's Day coming out with all the special occasion foils. I need 10,000 more pink hearts, and nobody's got them. So I've got to use magenta or whatever I can, even lavender. But it's just stock is becoming so hard to get over here. Brexit doesn't help. COVID doesn't help. Brexit doesn't help.
Well, apparently, my supplier said that Qualitex is having issues getting latex to actually make the balloons at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that because of the medical equipment stuff being rerouted.
Yeah.
And didn't you say, Steve, also they had trouble getting bags? One of the manufacturers couldn't get bags.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say who it was, but it wasn't so much getting bags. It was the fact that when COVID hit, all of their inventory goes to a distribution center. So it gets processed and wrapped and shrink wrapped and all that stuff and packaged. And what happened was they had a COVID outbreak at the packaging plant. So they had literally mountains and mountains and mountains of inventory sitting there and they couldn't get it out. So yeah.
We still got some pallets of Qualitex sitting on the wharves at the moment that isn't getting off, apparently. So hopefully, like there's no high float in Australia.
I feel
Well,
like
they call it the Outback for a reason.
I feel like people aren't wearing gloves as much. Are they still making gloves like crazy? I feel like people aren't going crazy with gloves now.
well, it's not them so far as
Medical
but the
supply stuff.
medical supply companies,
But are they making latex gloves or nitro? They're not making latex gloves so much. They're making nitrile gloves. A lot of the hospitals don't let latex gloves even.
They're still making them though.
yeah, from my understanding, like third world countries and stuff still use latex gloves. They don't have the money for nitrile. So you know, who knows?
I just saw a sign on a store that said, "Don't come in without a mask and gloves." And I thought, I used to keep gloves in my pocketbook, but I don't anymore.
I gotta be honest. This is getting it's getting weirder and weirder as I'm going through this. Like we now have a vaccine out there, yet even with the vaccine, those who are not vaccinated, people who have the vaccine may not get the sickness, but will carry the sickness to somebody else.
Yeah. So I think what the scenario is, it's not about just one person getting the vaccine. The whole planet has to be have a vaccine. Everybody has to have a vaccine. Now, there's going to be people that don't want the vaccine, people who don't feel safe about it.
Right.
Mine's not until June, being pushed forward until to May. So it's up to you. You can't be forced into a vaccine. You can't be forced into it at all. It's like anything. So I could have the vaccine, but you could, as Anthony said, you could pass it on to somebody who hasn't had the vaccine. Your body can fight it if you've had the vaccine, but the other person can't. So there's going to be a very, very narrow margin on certain things.
I was at the doctor today. Now I'm vaccinated. I'm about 10 days past my second shot, so I probably have antibodies. I wanted him to do an antibody test. He said, "Why?" I said, "So." He said, "I don't want you to really behave any different." He says, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to kiss my grandchildren." And he said, "You could kiss your grandchildren on the top of their head now. You could have your family over because you're vaccinated." He says, "If they're really close to you, the kids should really still wear masks." He says, "We don't know enough about this." He says, "Yes, you're probably safer and more protected." He says, "But until we have herd immunity," he says, "we don't know." He said, "We don't." And I asked, "What about somebody who had the virus and who had a lot of antibodies?" He said, "They should probably also get the vaccine, even if they have antibodies." So who knows?
We're rattling out now. I think we're up to we're just a tad over 16 million done in 6 weeks. So that's not too bad.
Wow.
There's 67 million people in this country. So once we hit the 33 million mark, we're halfway.
Wow.
It's not we are, but we don't forget we've been hit very, very hard over here. I don't know why. I can't answer that question. But yeah, so we're up to about I think it's just a tad over 16 million, or it was yesterday. We had a press conference yesterday, and the Prime Minister said, things are going to start to open back up again. But he said, we've got to see it really, the R rate really drop. So far, we're down 27%. And on the people that have had the vaccine, they're showing their resilience is really high. But we still don't know. There's many different strains. And I think what we've got to realize is we are going to live with COVID for the rest of our lives. It's going to be there. It's going to be like the flu. We're going to have it, and that's it. It's not going to disappear. This thing came in like an absolute storm.
Well, it's going to be like the herpes virus or like HIV. It's going to be a virus that stays in your body. I also think that. I heard on the news today, though, that Israel is on its way by March to be, the whole country will be vaccinated. Of course, it's a small country. I don't know how many, 13 million. I don't know.
It's a very wealthy country, so they have the ability.
No, it's not such a wealthy country. They made a commitment in the beginning. They bid like $30 a dose in order to get enough doses. Like they bid high so that they could get for the whole country. It's not such a. There are wealthy people, but it's not such a wealthy country. Lots of poor people. Lots of people who live below the poverty line. But our problem here, I don't know, Dory, you can bear me out, is lack of supply. There are people trying to get appointments and they can't get appointments.
Well, but the problem is with that. The problem is with that, Debbie. I've talked to a couple buddies who are in a medical. They have no idea. Like, I've spent a lot of time talking to my son because he's basically on the task force in the Orlando area for the Department of Health for Florida now. And so every weekend he is involved in like keeping track of recording and all that stuff of the vaccines. And he's even said that they don't have enough places to do it properly. One, two, the rules for actually doing it are totally crazy. Like if you're going to be a vaccine clinic, there are certain rules. Like for instance, Steve has to have all these rules for COVID for float. Well, the same thing applies for rules here. They have to have the 6 foot, they have to have all this other stuff. And the problem is they just aren't doing it correctly. Like your local governments aren't taking the time to really map it out. They're just like, oh, let's get it started and go. Because here in
I don't
Vegas,
think that's the problem here, because like they
Right.
opened Citi Field, which is the Met Stadium,
right,
but they only have 250 doses a day to give out.
exactly. And
So they don't have enough
here's the other
doses. It's not that they don't have a place to do it. They don't have the actual vaccine.
But here's the other crazy thing about it too. For instance, like in Florida, they end up throwing away hundreds of doses
That's
because
crazy.
once it thaws out, you have to inject it.
Right.
And so the problem is because of the way the cities are setting it up, yes, they want all the older people to have it first, which is great. I love that. But they're not making it set up correctly so that the older people can do it, especially here in Vegas. They have like 5 places here in Vegas and they're never set up correctly. Like I've driven some of my friends who are older out there, people who live across the street, we've taken care of them, and they're just not prepared for anything. It doesn't
That's
matter
not
if they
the
have the
case
doses
here.
or
That's not the case here.
Yeah.
When I went to get my vaccine, it was so beautifully organized. I've never seen any government anything work that way. There were police outside. I came a few minutes early. They told me, park over there. We'll knock on your window when you can go in. It moved like clockwork. I'm telling you, I've never seen anything work so well.
I feel like it's probably not being run by the government then. I feel like it's probably somebody private who came in and said, we'll do it for you guys.
Over there,
I didn't hear what you said. What?
Pfizer.
What'd you say?
Is your vaccine Pfizer?
We have like 4.
Is your vaccine
I got the
Pfizer?
Moderna.
Yeah.
So Pfizer has to be kept at -67. The AstraZeneca virus over here, the Oxford AstraZeneca, kept at fridge temperature. So that's where it comes out. Well, they're thinking the Oxford AstraZeneca will be a 1 shot. You won't need 2 shots. It's a 1 shot.
And the Johnson & Johnson also, and I think it won't have to be kept at such a temperature.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's going to be a big
but
plus.
then again, you've got to give it to all these companies that have put it out. I mean, they have pushed this out so rapidly, and they've been working 24/7 on them. So they need our support, and you need to go and get your injections. If you don't want your injection, then you don't have your injection. But I think if you turn it down, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. I'd be more than happy to go get the injection. They just don't have it set up correctly where we can get them right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
so do you get
our people are waiting 5 and 6 hours to get an injection. You're talking senior. You're talking senior citizens who are 60 to 75 to 80 years old, waiting 6 hours to get an injection.
So that's not the case here. I'm telling you, you get an appointment.
Yeah.
You're supposed to show up 10 minutes
Yeah.
early. I was in, and the second shot, they made me wait a half an hour after to see if there was any reaction. I was in and out in less than an hour.
Well, I'm happy for you, Debbie, because I'm telling you right now, there are people not as lucky as you in this state that are not getting it. And that's where the problem with this situation
I'm wondering if
lies.
it's state by state that there's.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the thing. Nobody is given the government has no problem mandating the use of masks, the use of gloves, all these other rules, but they won't mandate the actual getting a vaccine out there. I mean, I have a lot of friends in the live music industry, and we've all said it. All you have to do is turn this over to the live music industry, and there's been jokes on Facebook, but it's true. Turned over to the live music industry, you'll have everybody vaccinated, and you'll have a meet and greet with Dr. Fucci. I mean,
it's the event.
I heard one about Amazon.
If you hand it over to the event companies,
yeah, it's like it's just like I mean it drives me insane that we're in a position like this. We are one of the richest countries in the world, and we can't figure out something like this. You know what I mean? And that's what's really agitating. I mean, England.
Yeah, well, they bought the army in our army.
Yeah, you know,
they bought the army.
England figured it out. Why can't other people? You know, I just don't get it. I don't get it. So
I think what is this is what I understand about America. There, you have like the president who sets. I don't know how it works over there. He sets the rule, and then it's up to each state or each county whether they carry it out.
Well, it's ratified by the state.
It depends on what party is running
over here.
Right, and that's also the other thing too.
Over here.
It depends on what party is running it also. And we can talk all day about Democrats, Republicans, or whatever else. But I'll tell you this right now. There's so much infighting between the states, governors, and the I mean, not so much now.
We don't have that over there.
Right. Well, of course, because you know, it's like the Queen says something, the Prime Minister says it, moves on down the chain, and everybody else deals it. Here, we allowed the states to make their own choices.
The government set the rules,
right,
and that's it. So the government, the British government. So you have the gov.co. England. So our government is England. Then you've got the Welsh Assembly, you've got the Scottish Parliament, but they all speak to each other, and the Prime Minister sets the rules, and that is it. That's what will happen. When lockdown came in, it wasn't a case of, well, we don't want to do it. You were told that was it.
Right.
That's the government. That's the government that was in the English government, and they set those rules. And then the Welsh Assembly and the Scottish Parliament all acted on those to make sure it happened. So we don't have that problem. So it works. It's half a dozen of one and six of the other.
Right.
But yeah, so set the rules. Schools will probably go back after Easter, but gradual. I mean, I know this sounds crazy. I would rather be in this lockdown for another 6 months than come out of it too soon and go back into it for a year.
Right. But on the other side of that too, Matt, and I mean, I totally get where you're coming from, but on the other side of that too is I don't see how the way that our government runs things, I don't see how we could last another 6 months. Maybe it would be better now that Joe Biden's in office and, the Democrat Congress, the Democrat Senate, maybe it's a little bit better now, plus a lot of Democrat governors, maybe. But the point, but what's still killing me is like our rules just changed yesterday in Nevada. Like our governor just changed our rules yesterday. So it's like we can do it one way, and then all of a sudden these rules, like something happens, and then our governor's like, oh, well, we'll have to change the rules back. They just don't. I don't feel like our state governments, our governors and stuff are looking out for us right now. I guarantee Seattle, where Steve is,
they're doing U-turn.
Yeah, they're doing themselves a service. They're not doing a service for anybody in their community.
Well, in their defense now, no political leader living today has had to deal with a pandemic, and so they don't. There's a lot of. I mean, you have to admit there's a lot of guesswork going on.
And, I get that.
And at the same time, I just kind of feel like, I'm living on the left side of the country. Our governors have all taken a very, 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 nope, everything's locked down approach and this and that and blah, 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 which from a scientific perspective is the smart way to go. From an economic perspective, it is absolutely devastating.
Right.
And they're looking at it as no. Their entire, we follow the science, we follow the science, we follow the science. But there's a lot of contradictions, especially with like the teachers unions and things like that, with the science, conflicting with what they want to do. So who knows? It's way too complicated.
Well, and then the other thing that we just found out recently is like our CDC, Center for Disease Control here, admitted that they made mistakes. And it's like, yeah, we didn't quite figure this out the way we should have when we first started. And it's like, Okay. So all these people who believed in
You've got to give
science
them their point of
following
view.
the CDC,
As Steve said, yeah.
you
Well,
know,
things are,
But
I mean, but,
if
but
you
as
look
new
to what
information
Steve
comes
said,
out,
no one's but no one's, as Steve said earlier, is quite right. We've never ever dealt with this in our lives before. We have never seen it. No one really knows what to do. They're just doing the best they possibly can.
right.
You know, and so we've got to give all credit due. Yeah, someone's going to get it wrong. We all make mistakes. But, you know, you look at our Prime Minister, Boris, I mean, everyone thinks he's a blibbering idiot. He's a very, very intelligent guy. He just doesn't come across well on live TV. You know, he's a bit bumbling. But he's a very, very intelligent guy. We've got a fantastic Chancellor of the Exchequer who is, you know, he's funded us. So we have been able to not work and get wages paid by the government. You know, and we're on this, all my staff are now on 50-50 furlough. So the government is paying 50% of their wages at 80%. I'm paying the rest of their wages at the full 100%. And we have had this, we've been in a very, very privileged situation, I think. But the reason we're in this situation, because the government, when the first lockdown came in, they shut every single non-essential business down. There was no ifs or buts. You shut. So they had to step in and support wages. And they did it at 80%. There was a lot of people said, oh, they should have done 100%. Well, you know, you can't do 100%. 80% was fine, and people are surviving on it. At the end of the day, if you think about it, every single entertainment venue was shut down. So there was no pubs, no club, no restaurants open, nothing. So you weren't spending any money. And they've said, and I think Steve said this not long ago, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have a lot of money at the end of this because they've not spent anything. But we've also got to realise that once the UK comes out of it, we've then got to deal with Brexit. And we had a report today saying we're going to go into the worst recession for 300 years. But that's what it is. But I think it's better to come out of this owing something than not to come out at all.
Well, but that's in everybody. I mean, you guys got Brexit out there, but the U.S. economy is going to be trashed forever. I mean, it's going to take.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I actually
not forever,
I just sat through a thing today. ILEA sponsored, the West Coast ILEA sponsored an economist today. He was actually talking about GDP versus debt. He said that right now the U.S. isn't in that bad of a shape. He said, but by the time it's all done, we're going to be in pretty bad shape. But
well, because now, we're still riding the GDP that we had in the previous administration.
Correct. Exactly.
You know, amazingly enough, whether you like the guy or not, the GDP was the highest it had ever been under that guy than
Donald Trump,
any other president. So, I mean, it doesn't mean he was right or wrong or whatever. It just means that it worked at that point. But the problem is that's going to run out. And we constantly see the Dow every day dropping. So,
well, the Dow, of course, is not a reflection of the economy. The Dow is a reflection of buyer confidence.
Right. But once your buyer confidence goes down, people are going to stop spending money. So, I mean, it's one of those things like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I mean, I'm sure Matt would agree. It's the same thing that he's dealing with, that they're going to deal with in England. But yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Cool. All right. Well, this subject's been totally, utterly depressing. So let's move on to something else. What was I going to?
Well, can I just say one thing that's really is probably going to, especially because you guys aren't doing any balloons, but here and there at the moment, because people can have functions again and they haven't for 12 months, it is ridiculously busy. So the good news is on the outside of it, people don't have functions where they can be together, and people aren't questioning where you would get people that would question the price of a half arch. They're not now. They're like, yep, okay, cool.
Right.
Like they're spending that money because they've actually got the money. Like January, February is normally dead for me. It's why I come over to the States, and I have been flat out busy. like flat out busy that I'm like questioning how long do I come to the States for float next year?
Right.
Because I don't want to miss the great season if it's going to be another great season. Like, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with you. But I would say this: every market's different, and
Oh, definitely.
we haven't had the work that we have been doing here in Vegas has not been out of control money wise. I mean, we've been averaging probably about $250, $300 a delivery, which is good. But that's always mixed in. There's always those the people who are all calling around for pricing and, oh, I just talked to this person. They said they could do it for $60. Well, great. Call that person and do it for $60 then.
I'm not saying I don't have people that are price checking and stuff like that. But the ones that go, like, it's not an issue. It's just, yeah, it's done. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Everybody who's booked with us, I mean, we tell them right up front, this is what needs to happen. This is how it has to happen. No problems. Like, they have no problem spending that money. The ones we've run into issues with are the ones that are obviously, even in real life, in the real world, calling around for pricing. But companies here are not doing anybody favors, because it's like, I've been looking around at some of the competitors out here, and companies that have been in business for 10 and 12 years have just basement bargained their pricing. And I'm like, okay. And when I call one of them out on it, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I need to make money, man. I was like, okay, well, you're killing the rest of us, but that's cool. I mean, I can talk to that guy because we're actually friends, but it's one of those.
But I would argue though that it's a reflection of what he's experiencing. It's not so much. It's not that he's killing it; it's that other people are undercutting, and you've got to do what
I'll give him a little bit of that, but to the point of the conversation we had today, I was like, dude, you're totally doing this to yourself though, because I'm able to get that kind of money from the clients, and we're working with the same clients. I mean, we have a client base here now that everybody's working with, and so I don't know. I feel like he's a little nervous, which, yeah, I guess he could be. I mean, he has a lot more overhead than I do. So I guess maybe there's that, but yeah, I don't know. It just,
people will always go for a cheaper option. It's common sense sometimes, because if you think about it, you don't, I'm hunting around for chemicals all the time for the machines and things like that. And yeah, I always get 2 or 3 quotes in, and I will play one supplier off against the other. Say, look, I can get this chemical from this company for this price. Can you match it, or can you come near it?
Agree with that.
Somebody else, that's just good common business sense.
I disagree with that. Like, if you're a business, yes, you might go, but the consumer market is trending towards, and COVID has, I think, slowed it down a lot. And one of the business breakfasts that I went to was, by a certain date, consumers will pay more for the experience. Like, you look at Disney, like, it's expensive, and people go there over going to a cheaper theme park because of the experience you get at Disney. The world is changing.
Yeah.
And yes,
but I wasn't talking about that sort of thing. I was talking about, as in a business.
Yeah.
I want to get the best possible, prices of chemicals. Because chemicals are, once I've used them, I can't use them again. That's it. It's like balloons. I don't necessarily go for the cheapest. I've never ever been taught to go for the cheapest. I don't go for the most expensive. I do the one that does the job. Yeah. So that's what I have to look at. So chemicals, it's like inks. I mean, if you see the cost of our ink, I mean, I've probably got about £10,000 worth of ink sitting in stock.
right.
And because of the situation, the inks are all, they're all tinned. The seals are on them, because the inks do evaporate. They're all they're thinner based, so it's going to evaporate. They're lubricated, and I've got to think about, oh God, do I buy a 5 kilo tin in, or do I buy a 1 kilo tin in? Because okay, the 1 kilo costs me quite a bit, so probably a 1 kilo tin would save me 50 quid, whereas a 5 kilo tin would be 150 quid. There's a hell of a price difference, but when you look at when you break it down, that 5 kilo tin the ink is a lot cheaper in there, but it's forking out for the 5 kilo against the 1 kilo.
But I get what you're saying, Matt, but that's the problem, because here, at least in the US, we can't even get some of the balloons that we need right now. And the ones that we can get, we're almost paying retail for. So it's like,
really?
Yeah. Oh God. Especially in this town. It is so hard. I have put in, I'm not even lying. I have put in 9 orders over the last 2 weeks, 9 orders for balloons from different wholesalers in this in this side of the country. Every time I get a box, it's missing 6 of the items that I've ordered. 6.
Do they not tell you? It's
crazy because I get what you're saying about product, inks and stuff like that, but we have to look at it from this standpoint of balloons. Like just script letters alone in this country are so hard to get a hold of right now. I finally just got an order in today, and they actually finally had all of the script letters that I needed. But for the last 4 weeks, they haven't had them.
Just go stepping back a bit, going at the pricing. A bag of Qualitex 11-inch chrome gold, say. What do you pay in dollars for that?
20.
Well, yeah, it depends on the wholesaler, but it's about average about $20, $24.
Okay, so that's around about £16. If you double that, that's our wholesale price over here.
But then you also look at it this way too, though. That's what I'm saying. The pricing is what's hurting everybody, because if it's double your price in Europe, then you're automatically having to charge more.
No. Well, no, see, it's different now because we're not in Europe. So whatever comes in here from the States that lands at Pioneer Europe in London, okay, there's the import duty. Then, because we used to have free trade with the whole of Europe, there was no tax or export going out of the country. Now, Europe are paying double what we're paying for their goods, because it's got to be exported out of here. So there's an export tax.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Sooner or later, prices are going to have to be higher. And that's the point that I'm making now. I'm not raising my prices right now just to screw somebody. I'm raising the prices that I have to charge right now are paying for what we're buying. So, I mean, I'm sure.
Hello, Jessica.
I'm sure that if I went to some party store here, I could buy cheap latex balloons for very little and cut back. But then where's the quality? Do I want to be giving the client something that's crap?
Why do it? Buy cheap, do it twice.
Exactly. So, that's what we're running into here is we've got so many people who are running out to the party stores and buying cheap party balloons and then putting these marquees and stuff together and throwing them up on Facebook, for $35. And there's no way I'm going to charge $35 for what they're showing. Now, some of them are being slick and they say $35, to start. Of course, then maybe the price goes up for the actual design that somebody wants. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense to even give that an argument to the client. It's like client calls me, well, I want you to do it, but I only want to pay this much. Well, then you pay my price or you go to the other person. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not being, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm just being honest. Like if you want,
I mean,